So, good morning. So today we are going to discuss about design thinking process or design thinking approach. Okay. So this particular approach is coming in the module 2. Okay. So what I can say is that module 2 is divided into 3 parts. Okay. Um, what are those? Is that the first one is it is design thinking process stages. So they are explaining about those 5 stages or 5 phases of design thinking process. Okay, so in this process, right, we have 5 stages as I told. The first one is empathize. The second one is define and ideate, prototype, and test. Right. So we'll be discussing this one by one. Okay. So today, my focus is on discussing the design thinking process stages, right? So we will complete those first part. And what about the second part? Second part is convergent questioning. Okay. So the second part is convergent questioning. And the third part is design thinking in a team environment. So these are the 3 topics or 3 parts of this module 2. Right. So today, let us complete the design thinking process stages. Right. So iterative design thinking process stages, right? So why it is called as iterative? Let us see that, right? So the first thing is, right, before starting the discussion, first you should know 2 peoples, right? So who are those users or customers, okay? And then the design team. The users or customers, right? They are having the problems, right? They are having the problems, and the design team, that is you, right? So you will be the problem solvers, and they will, I mean, the users and customers will be coming with the problems, okay? And the design team will be the problem solvers, okay? They are identifying the problems of the users and customers, and they are solving it, okay? This is the 2 major role played in this particular design thinking process: users and the design team. So in this particular discussion, right, if I'm using the teams, right, the teams means your design team. Users are the customer, will be your problem holders, right? Fine. Okay, so let us see what is design thinking. So what do you mean by design thinking? So it is the process of creating problem solving. That means the users are, the customer is having a problem, and the design team, right, what they are doing is that they are solving that problem. So the process which you are undergoing to identify the problem and to solve the problem is called as design thinking process. Okay, design thinking process. What is design thinking process? It is the process of creating problem solving. Okay. So design thinking is a non-linear iterative process. Why it is non-linear iterative process? The reason is that, say for example, you can able to see the 5 phases, right? 5. These are the 5 phases. The first one is empathize, right, and define, ideate, prototype, and test. Right? So each process, say for example, empathize, you are empathizing it, and then you are defining the problem. Okay. Sometimes, right, that won't be clear. The problem that defined are not clear. So what you will do again, you will come back to empathize. You will identify the problem and then you define it, right? And see, for example, when you are doing the prototype, right? When you are doing the prototyping, so sometimes, right, the prototyping is not actually clear, or say it is not actually solving the problem of problem which is defined, right? So what you will do is again you will do some ideation, right? You will come back and do. So it means that it is an iterative process, right? Every stage is an iterative process. So design thinking is nothing but it is a non-linear. Linear means what? It is going in the same way. Non-linear means what? You are going the same direction, and then you are coming back, and then again you are going the same direction, and then you are again coming back. So it is a non-linear and iterative. So iterative means what? You are actually you are going back to the previous stage, and you are doing the same process. You are coming to the next stage, and then if any problem is there, again you are going back. So that is what your iterative process. So design thinking is a non-linear iterative process that team used to understand the users, right? Team used to the design team used to understand the users, challenge assumptions, right? The assumptions which are created, right, will be analyzed, okay, and redefine the problems. You are redefining the problem. Sometimes, right, when you are doing the testing part, you may be thinking that this particular solution is not actually solving the problem, right? So what you will do is again you will come back to the define stage, and then you will redefine the problems, right? That's what redefine the problems and create innovative solutions to prototype and test, right? You will be creating or ideating your innovative solutions, right? And then you will prototype it and then you will test it. So this is the process of uh, I mean, it is a iterative process, and also it is a non-linear process. So it means that the team used to understand the users, challenge the assumptions, redefine the problems, and create innovative solutions, right? So this is your basic idea of design thinking process, okay? So it as I already told you, it consists of 5 phases. What are those? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Let us see one by one in detail. So what is empathize? So empathize means research your users' need, right? Research your users' need. So users will be coming with the problem, right? So you have to do the research, right? Because you need to understand, right? The design team needs to understand. So that is why research your users' need, right? And then come to a better understanding. And once you get the understanding, then you can go for the next phase, that is a define phase. So right here, the empathize phase and the define phase is called as the understanding phase, right? That is, the design team is going to understand, okay, fine. Designers should gain an empathetic understanding of the problem that are trying to solve, typically through your research, right? What you are doing a research on your problem, right? I mean, the user's problem. You are doing what kind of research, right? Sometimes, right, you may be asking some questions to the the users or the customer, right? You will be preparing some list of questionnaire, right? And you will be giving that question to the users or the customer. And the customer, what he will do, he will answer for all the questions, right? And once the answer is once the customer given the answers, right, the teams, the design teams will analyze the answers, and once the answers are analyzed, they will be coming to, okay, this is the problem, right? This is the problem. So if the problem is identified, then you can able to define it. Okay, fine. So designers should gain an empathetic understanding of the problem that are trying to solve, typically through your research. Okay, so this research can be anything, any kind of research. I'll tell you in the next slide about what are the methods of research. Okay, the second point is that empathy is crucial to a human-centered design process, such as design thinking, because it allows you to set aside your own assumption about the world and gain real insight to users and their needs. What is that actually, right? Empathy is crucial to human-centered design. Say, for example, you're having, I mean, the user is coming with a problem, right? User is coming with a problem, right? So they're explaining the problem to the design teams, right? So what happens is that, so there are a few number of users, right, using, who are facing the problems, right? But everybody is having their own views. Everybody is having their own views of that problem. But the problem is actually common, but they are what is that? But they are experiencing in a different way, right? So what you have to do is you have to discuss with all the users, right, who are facing those problems, right? So the design thinking process is nothing but it allows you to set aside your own assumptions, right? You will be having your own assumptions, right? So that assumption you should not take it. What you have to do is you have to directly interact with the users who are facing that problem and list out what are the problems available, right? I mean, what are the problems they're facing, that you have to list out it. Okay, that should be exactly an insight to the users and their needs. That should be real. That should be again a real insight to users and their needs, right? So this is what you are, what you call as the empathize, right? You have to satisfy or solve, or you have to understand the actual problem of the users, right? You have to identify the actual problem of it. That is why empathy is crucial to a human-centered design process. Right? You don't know what kind of problem the particular user is facing. Right? You may be assuming something, and the user may be assuming something. Right? So you have to clearly understand the user's problem, and then you have to identify the. I mean, you have to list out the problems. Right? Place yourself as an end user. Right? You should make yourself. I mean, the design team, right, should make themselves as a end user. Right? Okay, I'm not the designer. Right? Just forget about who are you. You have to convert yourself as an end user and identify the user expectation. Identify the user expectation and needs. Okay, so this is what the emphasize part, right? So there are many methods in emphasize, right? Here I have listed out only 4 methods, right? Interview with the customer. As I already told, you can prepare some questionnaire, right? You can prepare some questionnaire, and you can give that questionnaire directly to the customer, and the customer will be answering that questions, right? Other thing is you can do direct interview, right? Face-to-face interview with the customers. There you can put your questions. There you can put your questions, and then identify the problems. Okay, analyze the answers given by the customers, and then find out the problem, understand the problem, and then you list out the problem, right? So first one is interview with the customer. The second one is shadowing the customer, right? Shadowing the customer in the sense you can give a prototype. Say for example, you can give a prototype, or you can give a similar product to them, and then you just follow what they are doing. That is what we call as a shadowing the customer, right? Follow the customer, and while they are doing it, right, they can able to understand. Okay, these are the problem they are actually facing. These are the problem they are actually facing. So that you can identify it by shadowing. Means what? Following the customer, seeing what kind of work they are doing. Just follow what kind of work they are doing. What are the difficulties they are facing, right? So that you can shadow it, and you list out the problems, right? That is the shadow in the customer. The third one is surveys. You can create some surveys, right? And you can circulate it to the users. If the number of users, say for example 50 or 100, you won't be able to meet everybody, and you won't be able to understand, right? So what you can do is you can create a survey kind of questions, right? And then you can circulate with the users. So the users, right, what they will do, they will answer the surveys, and based on the surveys, you do some analytical analysis or analytical thing, right? And then you identify, okay, these are the problems, right? You can identify it, and you can list it out. Okay, this is what is called as surveys. And then the fourth final one is research similar products. So if the user is coming with a problem, right, what you can do is you can identify what are the similar products available in the market, right? And then you take that product, and then you discuss with the customer, and then identify the problems. Okay, these are the problems that the users are facing. So 4 different types we discussed, right? What are those? Interviewing with the customer, shadowing the customer, and surveys, and research similar products. Okay, so these are the 4 methods. And there are many methods available. I'm just listing out or focusing the major methods to empathize, right? Fine. I have given a image here, right? What is this image? This is a Google Glass, right? So it was introduced in 2013, right? So if you are not doing the empathize part clearly, if you are not doing or not properly empathizing it, this kind of problem will be evolved, right? This kind of problems will be. What is the problem the Google Glass is actually facing, right? The product is excellent product. It was an excellent product. 2013 they have introduced it, but it didn't come to the market because of the security problem. What they did is that they have included all the features, right? And also they include camera features also, right? So what the user, right, what the user will do is that they can use the camera also while they are walking. All the other features, right? Google Map, say for example, if the user don't know about where to, for example, destination is there, means if the user you don't know about the particular area, using Google Glass, you can connect to the Google Map, and you can directly move to the destination. So it's some good, excellent features are there. The product is excellent, but the problem with the security. So what kind of security? That the security of the peoples which they are around the Google Glass. Say for example, this particular person don't know whether he is recording the what is that other peoples, right? The situation, right? The area which is surrounded by him, right? He may be recording it, right? So without the knowledge of others, right, he will be recording it. Okay, that is the problem of this particular Google Glass. So that is why it doesn't came to the market, right? There are some issues like that, so they have stopped. But 2013 they have introduced it, right? This is a major problem when you are not properly empathizing it, right? So you just in Google, right? You please type it, empathize problem of Google Glasses, right? You will see this particular issue. Okay, so this is a good example for not properly empathized. Okay, fine. So next is uh, define, right? So what actually it is define? Putting all together all the information you gain during the emphasis step, right? You just did it. You have done all the surveys and everything, right? So you have to what is that? You have to list out what are the problems you have identified, right, with the customer, right? You have to make it all together, right? Analyze your data and put them in order. Very important. You have to analyze your data and put them in order to better concrete the problems. Okay, you can combine two or three problems which the user or the customer has made, right? You can make it as a single one. So make it as concrete problems, and then you list out it. Okay, these problems. This is the first problem. This is the second problem, like this, right? So by doing this, you are actually defining the problems clearly. You are actually defining the problems, right? You are making, you are writing, okay, fine, this is a problem. This is a finalized problem, right? So the define stage will help your team gather great ideas. So because if you are defining the problems very clearly, then you can able to identify or find out the solutions for that, right? That is what the ideas from the design team, right? So you can able to create many ideas, right, based on the uh, problems you have listed, right? You can able to create many great ideas and be able to understand how to use them effectively, right? And be able to understand how to use them effectively, right? So that is what your defines is very important stage, right? So what you have done in previously, right? You have identified the problems from the customer, and from that problems, right, you are defining those problems, right? Concrete that problems, right? If two or three problems are, say, you can able to concrete means you can combine and you can concrete it. Okay, that is what concrete the problems. And when you concrete the problems perfectly, then you can able to easily come up with some ideas, come up with some solutions, right? That is what your defined stage. So the empathize, right? The empathize and the defined stage is called as understanding stage. Understanding stages, right? Fine. The third one is called as ideate, right? So once you have defined the problem, right, you have to, I mean, the design team has to generate many logical ideas, right? During this stage, design thinkers start to use the information from previous stages to generate logical ideas, right? Based on the information they have attained from empathize stage and the define stage, right? They have to generate logical ideas. So the team will start to make ideas that maybe the out of the box, right? So they have to think in out of the box manner, right? And then you have to find the solution for the problems which you have defined, right? By the end of this phase, the team should have a few ideas to solve, right? You'll be having, I mean, the team will be listing out many solutions, right? They'll be listing out many solutions where you can able to choose which is the best solution, right? Which is the best solution. So it is important during this phase that the team should generate lots of ideas, right? The team will be generating lots of ideas, and from that you can able to, I mean, the designers can be able to choose these are the best ideas, right? These are the best solutions. Likewise, you can able to choose it. So this is what your ideate. This is what your ideate. Okay. So when you identify the solutions, you have to make prototyping. Right? You have to make the prototyping. So prototyping means there are many methods to do the prototyping, right? So paper prototyping, simulations, 3D models, and animations, right? So during this stage, the team will work on creating a number of inexpensive products. Very important, right? You are not doing the actual product. You are doing a prototype, which is a inexpensive product. Say paper prototyping. You can draw the prototype model, right? Right? The model, the product prototyping, right? You are just drawing it in the paper. and then you are showing it, showing it to the customer. This is the product, right? Which will be seeing whether it is okay. Likewise, you can able to ask, right, to the customer. So this allows for the design thinkers to investigate possible solution to the problems that were identified the earlier stages of the design thinking process, right? So, for example, you can investigate a particular product, right, by creating a prototype, right? So that prototype will be given to the what is that customer, right? And if needed, right, or if needed, you can go back to the previous stages if any problems are there in the prototyping, right? You can go back to the previous stages and you can redefine it. You can redefine it, and then you can again change your prototype, right? With each new prototype, the team investigates the different aspects of the problem and explores how each of the prototypes would fix the problem, right? You can investigate, right? So you have listed out the problems, right, in the define phase, right? In the define phase, what you have done is you have listed out the problems, right? Whether your prototype is actually solving the problems, that you can investigate it. The design team can investigate it, right? And you can fix those problems, right? You can fix those problems. So what are the methods, right? Here shown here is paper prototyping, simulations, right? Simulations means 2D simulations, right? You can make some simulated results, right? Yesterday we were discussing with the project team, right? Tinkercad, right? A best method for simulating the Arduino board, right? You can just check out Tinkercad, okay? And like, let me show you this. Right, so Tinkercad. So this is a website for actually, this is an online free tool. What you can do is that you can create your own circuits, right? So if you want to do some Arduino projects, Arduino projects, right? So what you can do is that you can simulate here, right? You can simulate here before starting the actual design. That is what I'm telling, right? Before starting the actual design, what you can do is that you can do the simulation. You can do the simulation. So you can these components will be here. You can drag and drop, right? If you are purchasing all these things, you just think out. You just costing too much, right? So what you can do is you can use this particular website. I mean the particular tool, and you can create your own simulation, right? By designing and coding, right? You can do the coding part, okay? So like this, and then what you can do is you can start the simulation, right? So I'm switching on this. See, the motor is running, right? It is rotating. Motor is rotating. So what you can do here is you are actually simulating a product before starting the real time or the actual product. So you can test, okay, this is working well. So we can directly implement this. So that is what the idea behind it, okay? So this is what simulations, right? This is what simulations. 3D modeling. We can give some. We can make some 3D modeling, right? So the customer will be able to identify. Okay, this is actually the end product, right? 3D models. Okay, and then animations. You can create animations. Any kind of animations. Just showing. Okay, this is the product, right? This will be the product. So this kind of methods you can follow, right? Prototyping of your actual product, which should be very important, inexpensive, which should be inexpensive, very important, this should be inexpensive, right? So you are creating a prototyping which is an inexpensive product, okay? Fine. The next is testing. So once you have designed the product, give the product to the customer, right? And then ask them to test it, right? During the stage, design thinkers test their products made in 4 stages. They test their prototypes to see how well they have solved the handle the problem, and that they are initially analyzed in the stages 1 and 2. Right? What you can do is first the designers itself, right? They can test their product with the help of with the prototype, right? They can test and they can analyze how the problem is solved, right? And after that, you can give that particular what is that product to the customers and check out whether they are okay with that particular prototype, right? And if any problem is there, you can come back to the Empathize, define or Ideate or prototype stage, and you can redefine it or you can change it. Right? Even during this step, the team can and will make alterations and refinements in order to make the product more polished for their needs. Okay, so at this particular stage, okay, this is the problem and this is a solution, and this is the best solution, and this prototyping is working well. Okay, so that we can go for the actual product. We can go for the actual product design or product development. Okay, this is your testing. Okay, so the summary is there are 5 stages. So what are those 5 stages? Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. What you are doing in empathize, what you are doing is you are identifying the problem. You are identifying the problem by discussing with the customers. There are many methods we have discussed, right? So you list out all the problems, right? So get all the details from the customer, analyze it, and define the problem, right? And define the problem. What you are doing, the define problem, you are writing out, you are listing out all the problems, right? You are listing out all the problems of the customer. Okay, so these 2 phases are called as understanding phase. And then what you are doing is that you are ideating it. You are ideating it. What you are ideating, that is, okay, these are the problems. For this, what are the solutions? What are the possible solutions? You are taking out your ideas. You are getting you are writing out your ideas, right? So and find out which is the best idea, right? And you are finding out which are the best ideas to solve this particular problems, right? So you're choosing the ideas, right? After that, based on the ideas, based on the solutions you have ideate, right? You are creating the prototyping. So prototyping means, right, you are producing or creating an similar product, right? It is an inexpensive product. It should be an inexpensive prototype, right? Which is exactly similar to the actual product, right? But it is not an actual product. Okay, so there are many methods to create the prototyping. What are those? Paper prototyping, simulations, 3D model, animations. So such a kind of methods you can follow, right? And finally, you are testing the prototype, right? And checking whether it is actually solving the problem of problems which is defined initially, right? You are checking one by one whether it is solved, whether the problems are solved. Once it is solved, you can even show it to the customer, and you can check with the customer whether the problem is solved or not. Okay, if it is solved, okay, this is the best solution for this particular problem, and then you can go for the development. So this is what your design thinking process. 5 stages or 5 phases of design thinking process. So thank you.